Good morning. Welcome to the Second Unitarian Church. I'm Lana Gerbic, a member of the church's Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Today, we are in person at the Admiral at the lake in the 2U Sanctuary and continuing to meet virtually using Zoom. We ask everyone's indulgence for the complications of a three-part service. We're glad you are here whichever way you are attending. If you are joining today via Zoom, instructions for closed captioning and chat are in your order of service. When we would traditionally sing together and read things in unison, you're encouraged to do so as well, even though you are either masked or on mute. Our voices echo through the world, so we will hear one another if we listen closely and sing with our full spirit. We're paying close attention to COVID recommendations. This could mean changes at any time. But for now, we recognize that masking and physical distancing are acts of love and protection. Please see the 2U website for most recent COVID information. We especially welcome newcomers and visitors to this morning. Finding a new community and making new connections can be challenging. Please know that we're excited to have you and look forward to getting to know you. If you're new today, please know that in the Zoom chat or mention it in person during conversations after the service. If you would like, there are blue mugs you can use to signal to others that you would like them to come up and say hello. Our worship today is led by Reverend Scott Aaseng. Reverend Scott, his pronouns are he, him, serves as Executive Co-Chair Director of the Unitarian Universalist Advocacy Network of Illinois. UUANI strengthens the movement for social justice, beloved community, and a healthy planet through relational, intersectional, values-based organizing. Originally from Minnesota, Scott has served UU congregations in Chicago, Evanston, Oak Park, Quincy, Rockford, and Springfield, Illinois, as well as Hobart, Indiana, in various capacities. He has lived in Chicago's West Side for 26 years. Music this morning is being provided by Carl Kennedy, our music director, and Reverend Allison Farn. Our time together requires a large group of people who make possible the worship, the music, and technical production. They are listed in your order of service, and we thank them for their ongoing services for our congregation. I have a couple of announcements for you this morning. On Sunday, November 20th at 12:15 p.m. in the sanctuary, Reverend Jason and Reverend Elizabeth will lead a conversation about the future of the minister of the religious education at 2U. Do we want to keep this position an ordained one? Do we want to go back to a non-ordained director of faith? What would be the best for our church? What is feasible in our finances? This is not a direct assessment of Reverend Elizabeth's work, but rather a discussion about how we want to invest in our children's ministry as a church. This is the first of 2 meetings. The second meeting will be included a Zoom component. The first one will not. We will be sure to get feedback from everyone who wants to share. You can find more information about the additional announcements in your order of service. I now welcome Jill Athaj to lead our call of worship.
We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share. Whether you are joining us for the first time or for the 1000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. Whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, however much money is in your pocket, you are welcome here. I invite you, when you feel ready, to take a breath in and out. As the music begins, let us enter into the service together.
Good morning. In just a moment, Harris at the Admiral and Ryan here at church will light our chalice, the symbol of our faith. We light our chalice this morning with these words. We gather in this space of togetherness and belonging, where we are reminded of our interconnection and become part of something greater than ourselves. We gather in this space of becoming and imagining, where we can bring our hopeful dreamings, our deepest yearnings for our lives and for our world. We gather in this space of honesty and acceptance, where we can share our struggles and our fears, our passions and our joys, where everyone's hurt can be honored and everyone's voice can be heard. Welcome to this sacred space and this time of togetherness. Harris and Ryan, would you light the chalice, please?
please continue to stand and join me in reciting our covenant. The words are on your screen. We covenant to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out our inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion.
Good morning. I think I want to explain our slides, Brett. Can I start there? So this is a picture of butter in a churn. And I realize that our culture is collapsing in on of itself, and kids might not know what a churn looks like. When I tell the story, I want them to have a picture in their minds. So let's go to the second slide. This is a diagram of a churn, and the butter, the cream, goes inside. And now I'm wondering if Lumi and Lucas could come up and help me tell our story real quick. Would Lumi like to come up and play with the frog? No? Okay. Would somebody else? Oh, Lumi's coming up. Come on up, come on up. So when I tell the story, I want you to help move the frog. Lucas, come on over to the other side, okay? All right, you ready? Okay. So one time, two frogs were hopping through a forest when they accidentally hopped into a big churn of cream. Kerplunk. The sides of the churn were so slick and slippery that there was no place to hold on to, so the frogs had to swim. Can we make them swim in circles? Swim in circles to stay afloat. After a long time, one frog said, "There is no hope. We're doomed to drown in this churn." The older frog said, "Don't lose hope. Life is a circle. There are bad times and there are good times. One must endure the winter to see the spring." The younger frog was not so sure, and he said, "You're wrong. We're going to die, I tell you." And the older frog said, "We must keep hope alive, for if hope dies, we too will die. But if we keep hope alive, we will live to see another sunrise." But the younger frog was already starting to lose hope, and he began to sink down into the creamy liquid. Can you make somebody sink? Not into the candle, please. It looks like a churn. Okay, I'm wrong. All right, "Keep hope alive, keep hope alive," cried the older one. Then the younger one started repeating slowly at first, "Keep hope alive, keep hope alive." Can you help us? Zella, can you turn around and tell everybody to keep hope alive, keep hope alive, keep hope alive. The more they repeated the word birds, the stronger they felt. And the more strength they had, the better they could swim in circles. Can you make them swim in circles? Gotta lift them up because everybody can't see your frogs. Swim, 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 swim. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. As they swam and swam around and around in circles, an amazing thing happened. They realized they weren't sinking anymore. The cream had turned to butter. The two frogs were able to hop off the butter and out of the churn. They landed on the ground just in time to see a beautiful sunrise. It was coming from Nevada. The older frog said to the younger one, "Remember, my son, life is a circle. Despair may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning." And the two frogs hopped away into the woods. I hope Reverend Cruspius would not mind my ad-libbing, and neither do you, Reverend Scott. Please join me in singing our children to their classes this morning.
Each year, we all make a commitment, a pledge to support the ministry of our church. In addition to this contribution, each Sunday we take a collection so that we can share with those doing justice beyond our church community. While we are unable to come all together in person, you can still share your resources. To make your contribution, you can go to our website, or you can send a text to the number on the screen, or in the sanctuary, you can put your donation in the box at the back in the Palmer Room. For the month of November, we are sharing our plate with guests at our table, Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. This morning, we will hear some words from Ryan.
Good morning. Guest at your table is our UU Service Committee's annual intergenerational program to raise support for and awareness about key human rights issues. These are acts of hope, so needed in our world today. Since UUSC works in more than 20 countries with over 50 grassroots partners, there are thousands of individuals involved and who directly benefit from the human rights work that supporters like you make possible. The program is an opportunity to celebrate grassroots partnership, support human rights, and learn about 4 different individuals each year as the guests for a Guest at Your Table focus. For example, Zolt Zakaras is providing legal assistance and social resources to people fleeing Ukraine and who are seeking safety in Hungary following the Russian invasion. Thank you for donating.
Now, I invite you to join me in reading our offertory words. The words are printed in your order of service and are on the screen. This church is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm it and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received.
I invite you now into a spirit of prayer and meditation. Let us start by breathing together. Take a breath in and out. We give thanks today for the blessings in our lives, for the crisp clarity and beauty of the fall weather, for the joy of new beginnings, for the connection and support of community. We join together to support one another in our struggles and sorrows, in the ongoing pain of injustice, both personal and systemic, in the burdens we carry, be they physical, psychological, spiritual, economic, in the losses we grieve. Into this shared silence, I invite you to speak the name of anyone you wish to lift up into the loving support of this community. With our deepest compassion, let us hold in our hearts those named and unnamed, those remembered and those forgotten. May this be a community where we can always bring our highest and most whole selves, as well as our hurting and broken selves, and find ourselves accepted, supported, nurtured, and loved no matter what. Blessed be. Amen. During our ritual lighting of candles for joys and concerns, we want to continue to maintain safety with each other. In the 2U sanctuary, you are invited to come forward and light a candle. As you end your time of contemplation and candle lighting, we invite you to use the hand sanitizer available. For those of us at the Admiral, I invite you to come forward and take a pebble from one bowl, hold it tightly, put your energy into the stone, and then, knowing your joys and sorrows to be shared by the community, let it go lightly into the other bowl. For those of us on Zoom, join us by sharing your joys and concerns in the chat window. We hold all of these joys, celebrations, sorrows, and struggles close to our hearts. A reading by Carol Prejean Zippert. Tell me what you do when you get lost. Tell me. Tell me what you feel, how things look to you, what happens in your head, what you say to yourself. Tell me. Can you see anything when you get lost? Can you hear what's about you? Do you perceive life at all? Tell me. Tell me what scares you most when you get lost. Can you draw from deep inside what you use to hold you up? Do you move differently? Tell me. Tell me what you do to reach that special calm, Can you direct a prayer when you know to wait? When do you know to risk? Tell me. Tell me what you do when you get lost. Tell me. Then, tell me what you know and how you know when you're not lost. No more. Tell me how you know when you're not lost. No more.
When it rains, it pours, but you didn't even notice. It ain't raining anymore. It's hard to breathe when all you know is the struggle of staying above the rising water line. Well, the sky is finally open, the rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck in that same old storm again. You hold tight to your umbrella, but darling, I'm just here to tell ya that you've always had a rainbow hanging over your head. If you could see what I see, you'd be blinded by the colors, yellow, red, and orange, and green, and a million other colors. So tie up the boat, take off your coat, and take a look around. 'Cause the sky is finally open, the rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in that same old storm everything is all right now. 'Cause the sky is always open, the rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in that same old storm again. So let go of your umbrella, 'cause I'm still here to tell ya that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Yes, there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. It'll be all right.
Thank you, Reverend Allison. Let me start by reassuring you that I'm not going to spend my whole time today talking about the election. There's a weariness that can come with all the anxiety and effort leading up to them, and then all the processing and over-processing afterwards. A certain fatigue can set in. Maybe not yet, but it's coming. But I do want to take the ups and downs, emotions of these win or lose campaigns as my starting point for today, and dig a little deeper into what might sustain us for the longer haul in these times. I have to admit, I found it hard to write anything about the elections that would stick for more than a day or two, right? So that's part of that up and down I'm talking about. Many of us remember the shock and disbelief of the 2016 elections, though of course they were more surprising to some of us than others. In 2018 and again in 2020, things seemed to shift a bit, but there was a lingering disbelief for many of us that so many people could be so diametrically opposed to each other. I've been thinking a bit that part of it is that we're stuck in this binary winner-take-all system which pits us against each other in that diametric opposition and lumps the whole spectrum of views into a binary win-lose, zero-sum battle, us versus them. In any case, since 2020, I think it's finally sinking in for many of us that yes, there really are a whole lot of people who have very different values than we do. And they're not going away anytime soon, are they? The heaviness of that has been like a weight we've been carrying, with both sides lifting in constant fear of that other side taking over, or maybe they already have. And now with the, again, surprising results of this year's election, surprising differently than 2016 perhaps, but there's that jumble of emotions, perhaps relief that it wasn't as bad as we feared, perhaps consternation that it wasn't better than the ones we lost, and just downright exhaustion that it never seems to end, does it? One of the learnings for me this summer in the wake of the Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade was just that the struggle really never ends, does it? I'd heard that in community organizing training after community organizing training, that democracy is a never-ending struggle, and for a long time that just seemed like the most depressing thing I'd ever heard. Somewhere deep down, I think I harbored a stubborn belief that if we had just found the right messaging or the right approach, we really could win this once and for all and be done with it, couldn't we? The Dobbs decision flipped that around for me and made me realize that seeing that democracy is a never-ending struggle is actually a good thing, because it means just as there are no final victories, there are no final defeats either. As someone put it on Facebook, success is not final, but failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. As long as we don't give up hope, we can go on to fight another day. And it's that as long as we don't give hope part that I want to focus on today. Because let's face it, it can be hard to maintain a sense of hope given the roller coaster emotions of these times, whether it's the ups and downs of these electoral contests or the ups and downs of our work and our struggle to bend the arc toward justice, or just the ups and downs of the struggle to survive every day. Farmer-philosopher Wendell Berry has a poem on hope, which I'm actually not going to read because it's very long, and like many poems, at least for me, it's a bit obtuse in some places or obscure. So my apologies to Wendell Berry, but he starts by saying, "It is hard to have hope." And the honesty of that is a refreshing place to start to me, rather than some bromides about how we just need to hang on and it's all going to work out in the end. It is hard to have hope. It is harder as you grow older, he goes on. For hope must not depend on feeling good. And hope is harder when it cannot come by prediction. And I think the wisdom of these statements, that hope must not depend on feeling good or what's happening in the world, is at the heart of what I and perhaps others have been working through these days and months and years. It's easy to have what passes for hope, but is really just optimism when things are going well. And for people like me who grew up with a lot of privilege, things went well enough at the time that constant optimism was a viable option. And I could harbor hope that it really would just all turn out someday. But when we're not so privileged, and when times are hard, and life is more of that roller coaster, we need something deeper than optimism, based on our feelings or on what's going on around us, to ground our hope. We need to dig deeper to find a place of hope that can sustain us through the ever-shifting sands of the daily news. What are some places to look for that something deeper? Wendell Berry, and other writers like environmentalist Joanna Macy suggest that we look to our own sense of caring as a source of hope. The fact that many things are not as they should be, and the fact that that bothers us, that we're enough to at least want to do something about it, that's one place to ground our hope. Because it really would be pretty easy to look at the world and decide you're just not going to deal with it, you just don't care anymore. That kind of apathy can be easy to fall into, and that can be a really hopeless place because it means you're not going to do anything and nothing is going to change. That word apathy is an interesting one because it literally means without feeling. And when I say that we need to ground our hope in something deeper than our feelings, I'm not saying we should stop feeling our feelings or stop paying attention to them. But it might help to reframe our feelings and see them not as indicators of how things are actually going out there in the world, but as indicators of what we actually do care about. Because if we didn't care so much, we wouldn't be feeling so much. Another definition of apathy is without suffering. There can be a kind of suffering that goes along with caring, a sense of discomfort when things are not right, a holy sense of discontent with the way things are. It bothers me that people are put in cages. It bothers me that people are left living on the streets and without enough food to eat. It bothers me that the world I'm leaving my children seems to be such a mess. And the fact that it bothers me is actually a good thing because it means I still care. Caring and the discomfort, the discontent that goes along with it, can be a source of hope if we can tune into that discomfort and see it for what it is. A call to listen to what we're feeling, a call to pay attention to what we really do care about, and then to get into action, because hope and action are inextricably linked with each other. Wendell Berry puts it this way: because we have not made our lives to fit our places, the forests are ruined, the fields eroded, the streams polluted, the mountains overturned. Hope then to belong to your place by your knowledge of what it is that no other place is, and by your caring for it as you care for no other place. Belong to your place by your knowledge of the others who are your neighbors in it. He connects hope with belonging to a place and its people, as well as with caring for them. And I think belonging too can be a source of hope. It's one thing to look out at the world and see what's happening around us. It's another thing to know that we belong to that world around us, and that we are part of that world, that we are connected to everyone and everything around us. Feelings of togetherness and connection and solidarity can give us hope and empowerment. We are part of something greater than ourselves. But feelings of isolation and disconnection and alienation can just lead to hopelessness and despair. Because alone, we are not part of anything more than ourselves. We can do little of great significance, but together we really are part of more than just ourselves. And together we can do something much. The knowledge that we are not alone, but belong to something greater can be a source of hope in the face of the disempowering forces we are up against. Barry goes on, this knowledge cannot be taken from you by power or by wealth. It will stop your ears to the powerful when they ask for your faith, and to the wealthy when they ask for your land and your work. Answer with knowledge of the others who are here and how to be here with them. Knowing each other as neighbors can open our eyes to the fact that we all belong to the same place, the planet Earth. I heard botanist Robin Kimmerer speak this last week about how transformative it would be in our society if we just acknowledge that we actually do all belong to the same land, to the same planet, and not just our side of the political battle. We all belong to the same place. Ultimately, we belong to each other. And this knowledge, once we truly know it, cannot be taken away from us by those systems and structures that would separate us and divide us and pit us against each other all the time. Knowing each other as neighbors can open our eyes to our common humanity and stop our ears to the powerful when they ask us to believe in them rather than each other. Knowing that we belong to the land and to ourselves can stop our ears to the wealthy when they insist that our land and our labor belong to whoever has the money to buy them. We belong to each other and to our common world, and that belonging can be a source of creating a better world, that better world we long for. And that longing can itself be a source of hope. That longing for something better, a better place, a better future. It can be a source of hope rooted in our sense of belonging and in our sense of caring. Just as our caring can lead to a sense of discomfort with the way things are, a holy sense of discontent, our longing for something better can create a tension between what we see now and our vision of what we imagine could yet be. Wendell Berry puts it this way, find your hope then in the ground under your feet. Your hope of heaven, let it rest on the ground underfoot. Let it be lighted also by the light that is within you, which is the light of imagination. By it, you see the likeness of people in other places to yourself in your place. It lights invariably the need to care toward other people, other creatures, and other places, as you would ask them to care toward your place and you. Hope is ultimately an act of imagination. Imagining that which we do not see but know is true, that we are like each other, that we belong to each other. Imagining that which we do not yet see but still yearn for, a world where we care for each other as if we are all in this together. This kind of hope is grounded not just in the way we feel about how things are going out there, but in the way we care about the world, in the way we belong to it and to our neighbors, in the way we imagine and yearn for possibilities for that world and for its people. Care and belonging are perhaps the roots of hope. Longing and imagination are the branches of hope. So many of us have done all that we could these last days and weeks and months and years. Some of us have been at this a very long time indeed. Many of us may be tired and needing to take a break. And by all means, part of caring has to include caring for ourselves in these times. We are part of a larger community that needs us to take care of ourselves. And yet the struggle continues and the work goes on. There's a runoff election in Georgia next month, and there are UUs around the country already writing postcards for that election. We've got mayoral and aldermanic elections coming up here in Chicago, which will likely determine how many more billions of dollars we'll spend on policing. There are school board elections in the spring around the state, which will determine what our children will learn about human sexuality and healthy relationships and about racism in American society and history. Many UUs will be going to Springfield this Wednesday to defend the Pretrial Fairness Act, to maintain the presumption of innocence, and to reduce the number of people jailed for reasons other than public safety. I just was hearing from Allison this week that the UU Prison Ministry is getting ready to launch a campaign to bring lawmakers into prisons, not just because some of them belong there, but so that they can see for themselves how truly inhumane and abusive the conditions are inside. Human being, there are plenty of ways to take action, and you and I and UPMI and so many other organizations will be inviting you to take action as time goes on. But I believe we need something more than these never-ending calls to action to keep us going, don't we? I believe we need hope. Hope that's rooted in something deeper than how things are going out there. Hope that is grounded in our caring for the world. Hope that is rooted in our belonging to the earth and each other. Hope that grows in our yearning for something better, and that blossoms in our imaginative visions for the world as it could be. May we take a pause, step back for just a moment, and breathe. May we reach deep and find our place, our people, ourselves. May we find that place where our deep gladness and the world's deep hunger come together. May we find whatever brings us joy and hope. And may we live from that place, and may it help us to carry on. Let me close with the beginning of a poem written by Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis just this last week. A love wave is coming. I woke up this morning and the sun was rising. As I exhaled, I noticed the anxiety and stress I've been holding in my body. What are you carrying in yours? Our worst fears did not come to pass. However, while fascism did not crest and dominate, it still festers. It leaves me somewhere between relief and sorrow. But today I found a new name for that restlessness: hope. Blessed be.
Now let us lift our hearts in song with hymn number 1064, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I
I invite you to cross your hands over your heart and hear these words of benediction. As we go forward from this time together, may we carry with us the deep assurance that we are each beings of both worth and agency, and we are part of a larger community and a larger place of belonging and power. May we come together often and find in each other's eyes that glimmer of truth, that spark of community, that blaze of commitment that embraces us in our brokenness and empowers us to keep going one day at a time. Blessed be.